I was going to comment to you about that. I'm happier than I've ever been, more fulfilled than I've ever been. Things are rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
With me, it's just another day. I just happen to see people walking around with masks and things are a little bit different. But
Right.
from my perspective in my world, everything is peaches and cream,
Well, we should do some complaining, some negativity, All right, we are live, so might as well get going. We are having some technical challenges, and not everybody will be able to watch us live, but I am more than thrilled to have my friend and a great rock star. That my definition of rock star is somebody who's doing it right, who's getting the results, who's just blowing smoke up our asses. Somebody who's been at it consistently for a long time and who is willing and able to share some good information that will help you guys. My name is Borino, and today I'm thrilled to talk to Mr. Bryan Cassella from, you're in Hacienda Heights? Where are you in California?
Back in West Covina now, Borino, but had those same beginnings as you. That's why when I first watched your stuff online, I was like, hey, he talks about Whittier and Downey. That's where I started. So that's really cool.
Good old stomping ground. It's great to have you back, Bryan. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. We were just talking how the technology is now kind of, we're stretching the limits, but it seems like what you've done in your business, we're going to go back. I want to talk a little bit about your background, which is fascinating to me, the basketball career and all that. But it seems like you have figured out a way to combine the good old-fashioned hard work, which I know you do plenty of, with the latest technology, and you kind of balance it out where you are on the cutting edge. I mean, you have one of the most visited and most subscribed to real estate channels I know of as far as agents are concerned. And yet, I don't know if you still do, but you were out there recently door knocking, cold calling, working FISBOs, working expireds. It's like old school meets new school. Am I right? Do I see it right?
Yeah. And I saw most people falling on either end of the spectrum, Borino. It was either, well, I want to run away from all the traditional sales stuff because it's scary and I don't want to, work hard and I can just do the online stuff. And I saw the people who had been in the business already 20, 30 years, who were just accustomed to doing the traditional stuff, kind of rejecting technology. And I heard, and this is where I could have you chime in, when the MLS was first released on the computer, how there was a lot of backlash too from agents and they really didn't embrace it. And, it was tough. I was hearing that in my original office over there in Downey when I started. So I early on saw the power of it, but I also knew, hey, my foundation of skills and prospecting and reaching out to people and just communicating and building my business that way, I can't neglect that. So I saw it really as an opportunity. And I think what really allowed me to utilize it to its maximum potential, the online stuff, was I saw the power of video early on because I was experimenting. And, when I would follow up, I was always looking for that new angle to get somebody to respond or to be a little bit different. And I noticed the response to video was just overwhelmingly positive. And once I started seeing that right away, I said, okay, I might not be the best. I might not be the most refined. I might not have all the gadgets and gadgets, but I can do this. I just need my phone and I need to sit down and take the time to learn it and just do it consistently. And it'll come, just like it did with prospecting. In the beginning with prospecting, I wasn't very good. I was just a workhorse that was doing, 30, 40, 50, 60 contacts a day. And after a couple months, I started figuring out what was working, what wasn't, and just being a constant student of the game too. You start, learning other communication techniques and you perfect your craft by being a practitioner in it. And I think just that full immersion from both ends of the spectrum is really what allowed me to take off.
That's awesome. And it's working pretty well for you, right? Now, tell us a little bit about your background. You're not native to California, I know.
No, actually, I'm the first one born in the States, but my family's actually from Argentina.
Okay.
My parents were both born in Argentina. So were my two older brothers, who we share the same father. However, we have different mothers because my parents, their families moved here and they both met here in Los Angeles. My parents.
It's like two cultures.
So I was born
merging, right?
Yeah. And I grew up here. I grew up right outside of South LA for most of my childhood. Typical childhood, right? From immigrant family, not too much money, but we had enough, to eat, and we didn't have anything fancy, but our parents worked hard and we had what we needed. And early on, I picked up a basketball. My dad had trained me playing soccer as a kid, obviously coming from South America.
Right.
But I had an affinity for basketball. I just loved it. I obsessed about it. And I think that's where really I started laying that foundation of just discipline and working hard and being competitive. And I took that career through high school, through college. I played professionally for a couple of years. And after my third year playing professionally, I re-injured an ankle that I had hurt in college, my left ankle. I got a surgery in college my last year. Then my third year, I injured it again, got a second surgery. And after that second one, I didn't walk for about 6 months.
Wow.
So after that, pretty much physically, I was just limited, but more so than anything else, mentally, it just destroyed my ability to play because I was second guessing myself. I was afraid of getting hurt, and it just killed me from a mindset standpoint. So that's why at age 24, I walked away from playing basketball, because mentally I was just done. And I was devastated for like a year because I felt like my dream had been taken away from me unfairly. So I played the victim, which I don't recommend anybody does, but I did that for a year, right? Kind of depressed and not really feeling good. But there came a point where I said, I'm 25 now. I need to get my life together, right? I'm only 25, right? I have my whole life ahead of me. So it just kind of clicked. And that's when I started, exploring things and talking to some of my friends who had, entrepreneur type jobs, like mobile detailing services, washing cars, people who were, doing little stuff here and there. Because I knew I wasn't going to get a 9 to 5, that's for sure. I felt just with the little bit of work that I did, we did a work study program in college, right? And we would, work on campus, and I would get upset because anything that I did, I wanted to do well, right? So if I'm working for somebody else, I want to help them grow their business. I don't want to just show up and do the minimum effort required to get paid. And I started going to the managers and saying, dude, I'm working twice as hard as everybody else. So I don't think it's fair that I'm getting paid, the $10 an hour that they are when I'm doing all their work. Like, what's going on here? And, they gave me the typical corporate BS. Well, we have to take it up to the higher people and this and that. That's when it clicked. I said, I will never be in this position ever, because that's not fair to me, and that stuck with me. So when I looked at real estate, you fast forward, I was like, man, this is incredible. When the broker, who I knew from my childhood, actually, he was my first basketball coach ever, man. The NJB League, the National Junior Basketball League, he was my first coach ever. So keep in mind, he hadn't seen me since I was 11. So he looks up, he's like, whoa, you've grown a lot, right? Because I was tiny when I was a kid. I was scrawny and tiny. I didn't grow until really late high school and college is when I started growing and getting my growth spurt. So kind of late. And he's just explaining this to me. And I'm almost in a mode also of like, is this BS? Like, this almost sounds too good to be true. You can work as hard as you want. You get paid for your production. You don't have to, work for raises. You build your own business. You have your own hours. I was like, this is almost too good to be true. I was like, where is everybody? I'm there at the office on a Monday at 10 a.m. I'm like, the office is empty. I'd be in here making calls already. Like, where is everybody? And he's like, well, the average agent just isn't really taking advantage of it and working hard. And that's when it started to click. So after that meeting, I said, okay, sign me up. Like, I'm committed. I'm going to do it. And it was tough because a lot of the money that I had made in basketball, I wasn't wise with it, right? You're overseas, you're the man, everybody loves you, you're spending money and throwing it like a young and dumb type of person that I was, right? So I come back and I really didn't have anything to stand on, and add to the fact that we had just come out of the big crash, and my parents suffered from a work standpoint. So I have to help them. I have to help myself. And I feel like the pressure of the world is on me, like the statue of the guy holding the world on his back and his shoulders. I felt like that.
Yeah. So what year did you get in real estate?
Yeah, there we go. Atlas.
What year did you get in real estate? What was that?
I officially got licensed 2013, somewhere in the middle, like August, September, somewhere around there.
Gotcha. Okay. Not the easiest time to be in real estate.
No, not at all. A lot of people who had been through the whole 2009, 2010, 2011 said, hey man, it's a tough time. People don't want to sell. That already kind of negative gloom and mentality. Some people were trying to transfer it to me, but I just didn't pay attention to it. I said, look, I'm starting blank slate, based everything that I learned from the broker who is telling me that, hey, it's just a lot of basics, right? Just like Mike Ferry would say, he said, it's simple. It's just not easy. Mm-hmm. So I just really adopted that mindset of I'm just going to be a student and learn and just work every day. The one thing I'm going to do is show up every day. And I feel like that's one of the biggest missing pieces for people is they let their emotions get the best of them, and they'll show up 2 or 3 days out of the week instead of the 5 or 6 or 7 days that they put on their schedule to work.
That is such a good point. And I want to stay with it just a second. We're going to continue the story, which is fascinating. But I would like to help people understand, because many of you guys watching this are in the same boat, especially when we hit a crisis like this. It's so easy to kind of have your day disintegrate and just get caught up into this drama and just not do much. What would you suggest to someone to develop this kind of work ethic, this kind of commitment, where you just show up, where you're not attached to the results, you're attached to the process, you're attached to getting the job done no matter what? How would somebody develop and get better at it, Bryan? What's your secret?
There's a lot that I can comment on that, Bruno. It's not easy. That's for sure. That's the first thing, disclaimer I want to make.
Sure.
You're going to have to confront a lot of your deepest, darkest, insecurities. You're going to have the whole world telling you, what are you doing? You're wasting your time, because everything that people are going through, I went through, right? I think I broke down in tears probably 3 times my first year, just because my emotions were almost getting the best of me. A couple of things that I did that helped me in particular was I started making a list of some of the things that I could control and could not control, right? So something like this, the coronavirus, I can't control that, right? I could control following my schedule, making my contacts, my minimum contact requirement, which for me at that time, I believe was 40 a day. I can do that. So
And you did a lot
once
of
I
door
made that,
knocking, right? Was it
yeah, a
doors?
lot of door knocking and cold calling. I did both. I split it up. I did about, because I was hand dialing at that time. Before I closed my first deal, I was hand dialing. So I put 2 phones next to each other and I would dial both.
Yeah.
So this one's ringing. As this one's ringing before the person picks up, I'm dialing the next number and just not dialing the last number. So as soon as this one hangs up, I dial the last number. It starts dialing. So I'm like a machine, man. Right. So I split that and door knocking, and I was doing 100 doors a day minimum. That was my minimum commitment, was 100 doors a day. And I create that list, right? Suddenly I'm like, okay, I'm focusing too much on things that I can't control. I realized probably 80% of my focus was on those items that I could not control. So it brought some reality to that. Because if it's in your mind and it's not really clear to you what your thought process is and it's not written down, your mind can just go anywhere. So you need to give it some direction. That was the first step that I learned. The second one was, I'm just going to take this day by day, right? I'm not going to worry about next month, next year. I need to just focus on 24 hours. What am I going to do today? What's on my schedule today? Can I get it done? Right? And as I started simplifying this, it really became easier. Was it always easy? Of course not, right? Because it was a daily battle at that time, my first 12, 18 months with myself and my emotions, and having to look myself in the mirror and say, I'm a couple weeks in, a month in, I still don't have anything, but hey, that's okay. I can do this, So simplification of it, Borino, I think was the best thing, because is there a secret? No, because showing up some of those days is very, very difficult, especially there would be days where I'd break down in tears, and then 30 minutes later, I'm back on the phone. It's like, okay, let's do it. I'm wiping my tears off while I'm making calls, and you can still hear it in my voice that I just cried, but I'm like, I made a commitment. And that was really the last one, Borino, as I said, I'm going to be a man of my word. If I give my word to someone else, if I give my word to myself, I'm going to come through with it, because I feel so many people's problems nowadays are just this huge wave of years of breaking their word to themselves over and over and over. That's why they find so much difficulty now to do anything. As a point, people will make New Year's resolutions and say, I want to lose weight. Well, if you've been lying to yourself your whole life, the moment you say that, even your own mind says, yeah, right, dude, you're not going to lose weight. Get out of here. And to me, the contract that one makes with themselves is the most sacred and most important contract that you make. So it started with little things. I'm going to make my bed this morning. I'm going to wake up at 6. And I forged that. So anytime a word came out of my mouth that I'm going to do blank, I did it. And as I built that muscle, it became a lot easier over the next subsequent months to continue with those activities, because that word is my bond. And if I can hold that, then I know everything else will take care of itself.
Wow, that's really big. That's really big. I love that. I love this part alone is worth gold. Fantastic stuff.